I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to District Planning and Regulation, where we keep things concise. Acknowledgements, I know that's not on the order paper, but happy birthday, Councillor Blackie. Let's leave it at that. You've suffered enough embarrassment today.
That's number 4 now.
Yeah. Conflict of interest. Do we have anything to declare or report? No. Apologies. God, apologies. Who do we have? Deputy Mayor. Yeah. And we won't excuse you just yet, Councillor Blackie, but if you have to leave, we're still here.
We'll be finished by then.
Yeah. No, very good. So no other conflicts? Apologies. Thank you.
I'll move.
Apologies be taken. Move and seconded. Thank you, Councillor Cairns. Seconded, Councillor Goldworthy. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. So the confirmation of minutes. Minutes of the meeting.
Just related to conflicts.
Well, there was a notion. I don't think we had any responses. Yeah. So yeah. See this week it's nice.
Yes.
Minutes of Tuesday, 15th of April. The circulation minutes, the acceptance of true and correct record. We have Councillor Cairns to move. Second, Councillor Blackie. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Assuming there's any matters arising, we can deal that with that 3.2 if you had a chance to peruse them. Item 4, no matters arising. Deputations, we have nil or none. Please, reports, application to the Heritage Fund. Ian, welcome along, and please, at your leisure.
Okay, good afternoon all. So Gina's unavailable today, so I'll be presenting this report. I believe you'll take the report as read. But I just want to maybe highlight some key notes.
You have time if you'd like to highlight. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So this is a Heritage Fund application for exterior painting to the Kerr House located at 62 Ivory Street. It's a Category 2 building. It's actually got a historical significance. It was built in about 1866 and it's since been relocated from Victoria Street to its final position. The owners state that the house is severely run down, hasn't been painted for 15 to 20 years plus, so it needs a good repaint to protect the longevity of the building. So they've made an application for mainly relating solely to exterior painting. They've got 3 quotes. Of those 3 quotes, 2 are from Guthrie Barron. So one of them was a discounted rate and one was a full rate. So council's basically recommended the middle ground rate for Guthrie Barron, just because just to free up some cash for them because they're currently doing some other work to the building, and that's weatherboard replacement, water blasting, fixing areas of the roof. So that kind of gives them a little bit of cash flow to do the work while they wait for the funding for this application. Council consistency-wise, we've agreed to 50% of the funding, which is what we do on other similar applications in the district. We believe that's fair and reasonable for everyone. And also to note, the fund has actually currently got about 46,300 sitting in there. It's about to get topped up another 15,500 from 1st of July. So that would get it to about 60,000. So it's still sitting quite healthy at 60,000 for other funding applications to come through if need be and that. So basically very straightforward, I think, application. Exterior painting is critical for making sure the building can go for the next 10 or 15 years. So yeah, I believe it's a a good funding application to support.
Okay. I'll just note actually, I personally I think that there's it's good attention to detail that you kept that you're in line with your policy. And I know it could get complicated if you tried to sort of take the trade member discount into account, and so I think that was good spotting there, because there's nothing that people don't like as much as inconsistency from one application to another. So that was good work. Yeah, I just had a quick question about you said that property was described as pretty run down. Was there any indication whether they will come back to us over subsequent years, and what was the nature of the actual general property? I know they're dealing with the painting and the roof here, but it is in a very poor state, is it?
Yeah, so the building's in a very poor state. I actually drove down that street a couple of days ago. I see it's quite unkept. Not, currently they've got scaffolding, I think, there, and trying to get everything prepped and ready, but they haven't indicated any further work at this stage. I just want to get the painting done before winter sets in, but they may look at further changes in the future if there's rotten weatherboards inside, for example, or something like that. But yeah, it's in a bad state of repair at the moment. I think this application will improve it vastly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I know staff are recommending 50%. Is that normally what we grant? And I have been past myself and looked at it. There would be very few places of this historical type around, and in the circumstances, could we be considering an amount that's higher, given that the fund's actually sitting in fairly good condition?
Yes, Amir. Yes, we do support 50% as consistently wide what we normally as our starting point. Gina and I were actually thinking about a little bit more, like fully 100%, because it's not a huge amount of money. But then we thought, what if someone else came in and awarded up previous ones we've actually endorsed? Would that be fair and reasonable to support, more discount than others?
Yeah. Has there been instances where we have fully funded before, do you know?
Not that I know of, only 50%.
And the fund itself, how do we advertise the contestability of that? Is it advertised? Because we'll be seen at 60,000. So is it something we go out and seek submissions on? Or,
not that I know of, no. I don't think we make it widely known that that's the amount sitting in the kitty, but
something we should be thinking about.
Yeah.
And just a broader question, the heritage plaques, is there a process for that? I just can't remember the heritage plaques that go on.
The landmarks.
Yes. Is that?
Yeah, so there's a working group that meets a planner. I believe it's about every fortnight a month, and we discuss what landmark plaques we can install. We're trying to, at the moment, the bronze ones are quite costly to make up. They're about $2,000. We're thinking about a cheaper version that's just as good. That brings down the cost a little bit, so that we can install more plaques in the district. But we try and install at least 1 to 2 a year.
Can you, if that gets legs or traction, is it something you could bring back as a workshop to us around this? Because was, just through your indulgence, Mr. Chair, it was put to me by a landowner. He would be happy to pay for it himself, as opposed to a lesser graded. And I think I have some sympathy for that. But also, I don't know what the cost of the plaques is, so it would be good to actually understand what that is, rather than seeing that not be undertaken, because they look smart.
They look very smart.
Quick comment on that.
I've just had a couple of hands saying, oh, well, while you're on it, with yes.
Looking into this to go with our artworks, answering Dan's question, aluminium, they're getting them done in aluminium for about $300, somewhere around there. The problem with brass is that they get stolen because it's expensive so no one pinches an aluminium one. So talk to Waipat and Jackie Watson or someone and get we've had quotes around the 300 mark.
No, that would be good, and I will just come to City Council again. Just since it was raised, I am chair of a heritage group, which is a draft heritage application. So I just want to make that absolutely clear. It doesn't colour my thinking. Since we've come around to about the amount of money in the fund, we won't get into debate just yet. So Councillor Kennett, thank you for your input, Councillor Blackie. I'm on the landmark committee myself, and I know that's an issue with the brass plate. So Councillor Kennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions, Ian. The first one relates to how many heritage listed buildings are like this within the district, and secondly, is there a maximum amount per building, like can this person come back multiple times to actually request funding for various different projects within this home?
So the first question, I probably don't have the information at my fingertips for the number of heritage buildings. I probably need to do a search on that. I could come back to you on that if you like. The second part of the question is, there's no restriction on the number of times someone can apply. However, we do it on a case-by-case basis, and we look at how much funding we've already given them, and we look at probably the fairness and equity in terms of how much money a person is getting reasonably, if you know what I mean. So given that we've only offered a small amount here, they probably wouldn't be stopping them to come back for another funding application. We could probably lend them some more, but again, we wouldn't want to exhaust the fund. We're trying to keep the fund available for bigger projects that may come in the future.
And following on from that, with your indulgence, Mr. Chair, once we actually have a list of all of those heritage listed buildings, would it be advisable, in your thoughts, to actually approach those homeowners or building owners to actually then say, right, this is a fund available that they can request funds for? Would that be your idea or not?
That would be my idea, because maybe a lot of homeowners don't know about the fund. So by making it known to owners that there is a heritage fund assistance, I think it would help a lot, and I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Ian.
Thank you, Dan.
And just under the quotes, 3.5, Bunnings is obviously at the high, not the highest, but Guthrie Barron's first quote certainly was. Guthrie Barron's second quote, is that the full amount, 3533.58, versus what you're recommending, 2269.91, which obviously is half of the Bunnings quote.
So there were two Guthrie Barron quotes. One was a discounted and one was a full. We've gone with the half of the full. Just gives them a little bit more cash flow. I think an extra $1,000 just for things where they've replaced weatherboards and that. So we normally go the middle ground quote, which is the Guthrie Barron fully discounted. Oh no, sorry, full rate.
Just from the chair, do we just pick up your comments, Dan? Do we have any appetite to raise that to? I don't want to prompt you, but
I would, and I would test the meetings with the second quote, the Guthrie Barron discounted rate, 533.58. I can explain the reason why.
Okay, this is the opportunity if we all understand the proposition.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Speak.
Yeah, you can, maybe.
But I know what Ian has said, and obviously the staff report from Gina, but in these instances where they've got a better price there, this is actually achieving a good outcome of protecting that building. And I saw it the other day, as I didn't realise that this was part of this until yesterday when I was reading through the papers. But I look at that building, they've got a substantial amount of money to spend on that. That could be lost to us altogether, and it would be a real shame to see that building lost. I think it's a minor amount in the scheme of it. I know other heritage buildings that aren't aware of this, and I would certainly endorse the comments. That's where my question was coming from before. How do we advertise this? Because I don't think people are aware, especially where they've got a status like this. We did have a process years ago when I first came on council, and I remember we would receive a reasonable level of applications, and I think we should be looking at doing the same again. There's a property owner that saw me on Friday, and I know that he certainly has some substantial costs coming up with his own property. Ordinarily, I agree with 50. I can understand the guide of 50%, but where there's a substantial quote that's cheaper, in this instance, if that achieves the right objective, then I'm very comfortable in recommending that, because they will be spending a substantial more level on that property than they are now. It looks like they are already from the works. It's on a bit of a lean. I think there's obviously some shoring up work that they've got to do there now. It would be just a shame to see that building lost to us. So I support that in this instance. And perhaps, while it doesn't say in the recommendation that, while they have the ability to apply again, perhaps in the letter back it could suggest that we have applied the full amount and we wouldn't be wanting to see an application again, certainly not in the next round anyway, because we have been, I think, generous in our application on this one.
Okay,
Round the councillor Ken.
thank you, Mr Chair. For the cost of $3,500 to actually paint the exterior of a property is extremely cheap. My concern is that if they're if they've got scaffolding up now, this is not certainly the best time to paint. But I look at all the other costs associated to painting a property of this type. $3,500 is extremely cheap to do it. So yes, that's one of the reasons why I'm also wanting to support the motion. Yeah, it's a very, very good deal if they can do it for $3,500. Thank you.
Just from my perspective, at the risk of contradicting myself, and I congratulate you about consistency of policy, but there's some good reflections here.
Yes.
This is a building I now recognise and having seen several times. I thought, what a shame if we lost it. There's something about the look and style of it. It's real sort of pioneer sort of building style, and I always admired it for that reason. And I can see that there's lots of further work required. So, if we can give them a little bit of help now, also highlight the existence of the fund, and I genuinely, I think there's some real value in highlighting to the public that this fund exists, because it's a little bit of nick in time now can do so much for a building, whether it's painting or weatherboards. We're going to add years and years to everyone's benefit. So I think it's a good sort of combination to make here for what is a historic and very valuable building. So that's my thoughts on it. Councillor Blackie.
Yeah, I'll support that too. And just, we definitely way back went out to people to tell them about this fund, but I can't remember the mechanism by which we did it, but we definitely did 6 and 8, 9 years ago. I can't think how we'd actually do it, just an article in the North Canterbury News or something, but we did. And that year, I remember the year we did it, we got $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of applications.
Thank you. Councillor Mills.
Yes, if I may, we have a list of our heritage listed buildings in the district plan, and might I suggest that we contact those people with perhaps their rates or whatnot, and then you can have a targeted consultative notification of those people who actually have heritage listed buildings that's available, and you can do that at very little expense, and it's only specifically aimed at the people that it's meant for. So I would just suggest that might be something we can do in the future.
We have a motion on the table on the resolution. All those in favour say aye.
It's alright, I don't want to exercise more.
So how did you, was it a right or reply?
There is no way, yeah.
That's right.
That's right, I don't want to exercise.
Good.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
To make sure he speaks enough. Yeah, no. Carry on. No, you may have your right to reply.
No, it's fine, I don't wish.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for procedural explanation. All those in favour say aye, so we've had an aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. All right.
They are in an expedient.
exercise. Portfolio updates. I think we'll take mine as read. I think we'll as circulated. Councillor Goldsworthy, Civil Defence and Regulation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not too crazy of a month from my portfolio. I've got the pleasure of meeting Aaron, our new building manager, yesterday. Very pleasant individual with lots of years of experience. Unfortunately, to his credit, he's still across the river, but we'll work on that. We'll get him over. So, ESU, I just want to thank the council for the conversation that we had with the staff last week regarding clarity with our enforcement processes. It was a really good conversation, and staff are currently implementing that as we speak for the new direction. In the conversation around my portfolio update, it was discussed about the property maintenance bylaw, and I suppose the limited scope in which it approaches, but it's due for review up in December, so it'll be interesting to get the cogs turning on the discussion around that one and what the council foresees as appropriate measures to take. And just a bit of a figure for the day, service requests regarding parking as a percentage of all service requests, which is steadily on an increase, declining as a percentage over the last 3 months. So obviously our new approach to parking enforcement hasn't kicked in just yet, but it'll be quite interesting to see if that does continue to trend downwards. Civil defence, emergency management, community hubs opening up. There's one this evening in Oxford at the area school, if anyone is unaware of that, and there's one opening up next week, I believe, in Woodend. Oh no, sorry, last week it opened up in Woodend, in the youth centre. Hikurangi and AF8 Roadshow started at the end of April in Rangiora. There was pretty good attendance. To answer one of my colleagues' questions, the funding that's been put towards that is solely tea, biscuits and staff time, with a little bit of hall funding. I just want to commend the staff and their response to the most recent weather event. It was a really good show, showed that the alignment between the EOC and the BAU teams is working well. Skeleton staff did an excellent job, and special thanks to Kelly for being the first controller in that instance. It sounds like staff were preparing what could have been a 2014 rain event in the beginning hours with the forecast, but the weather changed favourably for us, so it wasn't nearly as bad as we were anticipating. And there were about 140 service requests generated from that event, which the resiliency team is currently working through. And yeah, that's my summary of the last one. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Cairns.
Thank you, Councillor Goldsworthy. In terms of, and thank you for being flexible with regard to adding to the Hikurangi AF8 or public meetings. Is Waikuku still missing in terms of a location along the coastline as having a meeting? Is that correct or not?
Staff are currently looking into that and they'll be getting back to you.
That's wonderful. And the second question, just Waikuku residents would be keen. In terms of the process with regard to when somebody says, or they get a parking fine, what's the process within council dealing with that? Is there a team of people that say, yes, we should forgive this fine, or how does it work?
I believe, like Billy himself is, it's fairly black and white process. They'll write into council, and then it will be, I believe, gravitated towards the manager, and then there will be a decision made, and then it can be contested up to Kelly if need be, if there's great disagreement behind it. But yeah, they have a fairly solid matrix in terms of what they will allow and what they won't.
And does that matrix take into account sort of the things that we were talking about last week in regards to flexibility and the 4 or 5 weeks over the warrant of fitness and
yes, yeah.
So okay.
From my understanding, if it was within that shorter week period and they did provide proof of getting registered or warranted a few days after, then it will be forgiven. I could be wrong on that, but
that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Just to say that I do support us doing the Hikurangi Fault and the other emergency hubs, but I would just note, and for your feedback, Jason, that the engagement with elected members has taken a bit to make sure it's in our diaries, and with a bit more notice and work than some of us could have attended those with notice, and it's a bit of a shame that wasn't aligned. I know it's not your fault, but I just pass it on here because that is a comment I've heard from other elected members who simply weren't aware, and so as a result, the public perception can be that the councillors aren't supportive or elected members aren't supportive. Well, if they're not aware, then it's very difficult for them to go. So I know that that's now being resolved, but we have an excellent system within our governance team who know our diaries and can manage those things for us. And these meetings are important. I do think people understanding these issues is important as well. I just pass it on to you for your benefit.
Thank you for your feedback, Ms. Kennedy.
Just noting also, just back to Community Hub, I've lost my opportunity to congratulate Councillor Mealing's very advocacy for the Ohuka Community Hub.
Yes,
I know that's for several years. We acknowledged her on the day, and it's almost before she came to council, she was sort of thinking of these sort of things. So I was just sidelined there in support, but it was great for Nikki and those people who have worked so hard to pull that together. So that's excellent, and thanks to the staff for the upcoming ones, and there's noted Oxford tonight and West Eton in a few weeks' time. So it's really exciting to see that all evolve, and well done your part in leading that, Jason. So that's good. No further questions. We'll move on to business promotion and town centres. Councillor Kearns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've already sent my report around. If there's any questions from that, please fire away. But I'd like to take the opportunity of now read your report, Mr. Chair, and I would like to see if you're able to share the Oxford Men's Shed's plans with regard to the signage, because you showed it to me before and it was outstanding. I thought it was really good that you're actually using the local men's shed to actually put together these projects. So are you able to share that at some stage, because it is impressive?
Well, this is this is the Heritage Rail signs, and I think the first one was somewhat of a recent prototype. Basically the men's shed fabricated it, council staff put it in. We've got a couple of quotes for, as noted in my report, for Swannanoa and Mandeville North, which is a very long word to get on the sign, but I'll leave that to someone else to sort out. And we got a couple of quotes for, I think it's somewhere around $1,000 each for the men's shed to do these signs, these Heritage Rail signs. The timber price has increased slightly. But yeah, it's a really good interaction with the community. I recommend it if other men's sheds can help out. I know they're not there to do council's business, but it is very cost effective, and that's been a good result. So if that's what you were asking, yeah.
Certainly, if you're able to share the photos,
quotes and things. Yeah. Okay.
And also following on from the museums, you raised it with me during our lunch break, and Green Space team are already on the case in regards to getting it sorted with regard to the lights at the Rangiora Museum. So thank you for raising that with me.
Right. That's well and good. No question. Yeah.
Very effective.
Yeah.
Like a little mutual admiration society.
Oh,
it's very effective.
He's going to whip my cream next.
Oh my goodness.
I think we would say there's definitely no questions, understanding orders, or questions of any type. Urgent general business, we have no urgent general business. Our next meeting, thank goodness we finished, is our 15th of July. Well done.